Hello, everybody. Welcome back to class. What's going on? I hope quarantine is treating you well, or as well as can be imagined. We're going to get started talking about the Mongols, and our aim today is how can we use primary sources to help us understand the Mongol Empire that took over China as well as other places across the known world at the time. The Mongol Empire is famous for being the largest contiguous empire in human history. So contiguous meaning all connected. Obviously, the British Empire, as an example, was bigger, but it wasn't connected. It was kind of scattered all around the world. So how can we understand the Mongol Empire? So in order to understand the Mongol Empire, we need to understand a couple things. First, that these people are nomadic, and they're nomadic people of the Asian steppe. So when we say steppe, we're talking about a geographic feature. It's a large area of flat grassland, no forests. There could be some hills and mountains, but over the large majority of the area, it is flat grassland. The Eurasian steppe is an enormous expanse that covers both Europe and Asia. So this is what the steppe would look like, or a sample of what the steppe looks like. So here we see a map of the steppe. What countries are there in the eastern and western steppe today? Take a look at the map and see if you can identify some countries that would be where those places are. So in the eastern steppe, here we're looking at northern China, Mongolia. As we cross over into the western steppe, we're looking at the southern end of Russia, the northern part of some of these Central Asian countries, and all the way over into even Hungary, right, all the way down into Europe. So this is an enormous geographic feature. In the materials section, I placed a couple of videos, and one of them is an example of traditional Mongolian music. So if you click on that first video after you watch this video, you'll see that there's a performer who's doing traditional Mongolian music. Now, this performer isn't from Mongolia. He's from an area known as Tuva in Russia, but it's right on the border of Mongolia. There's a lot of cultural similarities, and it is hard to find really good examples of Mongolian music because this kind of music is tied with religion so much. You don't get lots of examples of it on YouTube, for example. But check it out. As you listen to it, pay careful attention to how they play or how they sing 2 or 3 notes at a time. So you'll hear like one low grumbling note in the background, and then you'll hear like a higher whistling note that kind of does a melody over top of everything. It's really interesting. So check that out later when you get a chance. So how was life on the steppe different from the early river valley civilizations that we studied earlier? Well, for one, in the river valley civilizations, we talked about how they were largely settled down, right? You create an early river valley civilization so you can do farming. Well, on the steppe, they remain pastoralists. So it's kind of like hunting and gathering. You're gathering, you're not really farming so much, but instead of hunting, you're a pastoralist. You herd your animals and you move around with them, finding new places for them to eat and to get water. So the kinds of animals that the Mongolians domesticated were dogs. They domesticated horses. They were famous for Mongolian horses that were very hardy, living out, in the world, in the cold. They were very small, very fast, and really tough horses, still very prized today. And golden eagles, they actually would hunt with golden eagles. They would be able to train them to take down small animals, foxes, rabbits, things like that. So lots of domestication in the Mongolian world. Like we said, they were nomadic because you have to find new grasslands for your horses to graze on. They lived in clans, which were large family units, extended family units. And they lived in these portable tents known as yurts. So a yurt has sort of a flexible skeleton inside made of woven strips of wood, and then felt fabric thrown over top of it. So a typical yurt would look like this. This yurt in particular has a wood-burning stove outside. You can see it. Not all of them would be quite as fancy as this one. So, ruler of all the Mongols is Genghis Khan or Chinggis Khan. You'll see multiple spellings. He was born under the name Temujin somewhere in the year 1162 or so, right around there. We don't have great records, but we know he dies in 1227. The word or the phrase Genghis Khan means universal leader, so it's a title more than a name. And in 1225, he gets all of Central Asia under Mongol control. His children and grandchildren then will extend the Mongol Empire even further. So why were the Mongols so successful at conquering others? There's a second video clip that I want you guys to watch, that will explain, some Mongol war tactics and things like that. So it'll look like this from Discovery Education. As we look at this map, you can see that the empire grew so large, it was actually divided up into sections. So the red lines here show you the campaigns of Genghis Khan, all the places where he went to war, and then the green lines represent the campaigns of his successors. Notice the green line that extends through Korea over here. Tries to get into Japan and then from China into Japan, but they never make it. So Japan is never conquered and added to the Mongol Empire. Regardless, the empire grows so large that it's actually divided into 4 pieces. So there's the Khanate of the Great Khan, which covers China and Mongolia. There's Chagatai Khanate in Central Asia. There's the Il Khanate, which is in Persia, the Middle East, and then the Khanate of the Golden Horde, which is mainly Russia. So these 4 sections make up the Great Mongol Empire. And Khanate simply means an area ruled by a Khan, or a Mongol leader. So in the same way a kingdom is an area ruled by a king, a Khanate is an area ruled by a Khan. So again, here's the breakdown. The Khanates are ruled by a Khan. They create the largest unified empire in history. And you have these 4 regions. Khanate of the Great Khan, Mongolia and China, Chagatai, Central Asia, Il Khanate, Persia or the Middle East, and the Khanate of the Golden Horde, which is Russia. We have an activity where we're going to be working on a primary source. So let's look at this primary source together, and then you guys can take a moment, pause the video, and think about what this says about Genghis Khan. So these are Genghis Khan's generals speaking to him about the Muslim Empire. Quote, "From where the sun rises to where it sets, there are enemy people. Set us loose against them, like the Tibetan dogs, and we'll increase your strength by heaven and earth. We'll bring you back gold, silver, and satins, and many more people to rule. If you ask us, which people, we say to you, to the west, there is a ruler who calls himself the Caliphate Sultan of Baghdad. We'll go to war against him. This cooled Genghis Khan's anger, and he approved, saying, 2 of you will stay by my side. The others will go to war against the people of Baghdad and the Caliphate Sultan. What do you think this says about Genghis Khan as a ruler? Take a moment, pause the video. He is clearly a person who won't let little things like large empires stand in his way. There were infamous stories about other rulers who would not pay tribute or give money to Genghis Khan, and the horrible things that would happen to them. The Sultan of Baghdad allegedly was locked in a vault with all of his treasures, made to starve to death as a punishment for not turning over his gold in the first place. You might say that he was lucky because in the secret histories of the Mongols, they describe what happened to the Shah of Khwarezm, and the Khwarezmian Shah refused to pay tribute. Genghis Khan melted a portion of gold and had the Sultan drink the molten gold, killing him. So you didn't want to get on Genghis Khan's bad side, to say the least. Your assignment in the materials section is to read the two documents that are provided and then answer the questions that follow. You'll upload your answers and then submit them to me. That's it for this first lesson on the Mongols. We'll see how this goes. At some point, I'll probably open up the comments so that we can begin doing class discussions via the comment thread on each individual assignment. So email me if you have any questions, any comments, any problems, and I hope that this is the first of many successful lessons. See you soon.